not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 6. Shabbat Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachah Kodash. And double honors to our venerable apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and blessings to the Lord's elect, the house of David. Mercy, brother Aharon, coming back at you with another lesson. And lo, and to be edifying and uplifting unto the elect. And I have an article here titled Default Nation, the Alarming Collapse of U.S. Household Finances. All right, and it was dated July 31st, which was yesterday. Today is officially August 1st. All right, and pretty much kicking off the second half of the so-called 2025 year. All right, and through the Spirit, the way things are lining up, we've been saying this, but the way things are lining up, it looks like Esau is getting ready to pull the plug. All right, it looks like they got the people in the right place where we've been talking about the famines and pestilences and the hardships that's about to befall the people of America, Babylon the Great, and in turn, the people of the world, because if America is in turmoil, the whole entire world will be in turmoil. That's why you have major countries like Russia and China, and other different countries joining together to form something known as the BRICS, okay, to kind of like help out in a state of economic turmoil that America is going through right now. It's kind of like so that they don't have to suffer those kind of consequences. But it's the Lord's doing, and America is the main target of the Most High's anger. Okay, and the people of America, as the scriptures say, that they have lived deliciously. Okay, they have lived deliciously, man. All right, and that delicious living, all right, is about to be asked to be paid for, and they're not going to be able to. Okay, which is leading exactly into the MOTB prophecy. Okay, because when there's a time of, scarcity, and you still can't afford to buy food, you're going to submit to anything that is presented to you as a way out. Okay, and that's exactly what they're building up for. They're setting up the American people to need a way out, and the only way out is going to be a way in that you can never get out of. Okay, it says, did you know that U.S. households are carrying $1.18 trillion in credit card debt? Considering the fact that the average rate of interest on credit card balances is now over 20%, that is not good news at all. 20% interest. Wow. Sadly, most of the country is just barely scraping by from month to month in this very harsh economic environment, and turning to credit cards for some relief can be extremely tempting. $1,000 credit card balance can turn into $4,000 or $5,000 in a blink of an eye. And once you get that deep into the hole, it can be very difficult to ever dig yourself out. Of course, if you end up losing your job or having a major medical emergency, that can be enough to push you completely over the edge financially. Today, this is happening to an alarming number of Americans, right? So, again, we've been saying how the MOTB is going to be brought out. All right, they have to put people in a situation where, it's harder for you to resist than to just give in. You know what I mean? When America's, the way they set things up now, compared to how it used to be, you say 100 years ago, you couldn't bring the MOTB into existence because people were still able to self-sustain. You had farmers, right? You had communities. You had, a thriving ecosystem within an ecosystem, right? So let's say you go to a different town, they had their own identity. Maybe it's an apple town. You go to the next town, it's a pineapple or mango town. You go to a different town, they're more about milk or goats and cheese and shit like that. So each state or each town or county or city or whatever, they all had their own, identity when it came to the economy, where, if I want the best ice cream, I got to go over here. If I want the best this, I got to go over there. You know what I'm saying? Or those mom and pop shops and so on and so forth, right? Those things are very, very essential when it comes to a thriving economy. And another way out, in case something happens, you still have the ability to buy and sell without any interference of a form like the government, so to speak, right? But then you look at what happened with CV and how they were able to attack a lot of these so-called small businesses. Once you take them out of the equation, you have a slimmer chance of survival, because now you have to depend on the corporations for everything. Okay, no longer are you seeing the guy who's down the street and he's selling good quality stuff from his farm because he couldn't afford to keep open, right? Because of all these new codes and legislation and bills and laws and statutes and all kinds of dumbass stuff that affects the everyday individual and promotes the lifeline of these said corporations. All right, so these benefits that these corporations are getting to stay open, the same benefits are not being pushed over to the individual owner, because ultimately they want to do away with ownership completely. Okay, so why would they do things to aid in your survival if the whole goal is to make sure that you don't have anything to survive on but to depend on them, right? You own nothing and you'll be happy. That is a real thing. Okay, and every day we're seeing things. We got all these so-called natural disasters, these weather events happening, right? That's rendering a lot of people homeless and helpless. You know, people are losing cars, right? A lot of people don't even own these cars that they're losing, right? You can't afford to probably get a new one. That's why you probably still have that old shit you've been holding on for so long. You know, people on homes, right? Rent, right? If something happens right now, a lot of people are going to be stranded. Okay. So again, and being stranded could possibly make you homeless. So now you're starting to see why Trump and them are saying that, oh, we're going to be taking homeless people and sending them into shelters. You know what I'm saying? Mental shelters and shit like that. It's not because of actual homeless people who be living underneath a bridge somewhere that we see every day. No, they don't care about them. All right? It's mostly average Americans who are shortly, in very short time, they all going to be homeless. A lot of people are going to be homeless. They can't afford it, or it's just not available to them. It's one or the other, or two, or both at the same time. Okay? And very soon, you're going to have a lot of people who are going to be joining long lines for government assistance because they cannot afford groceries for their family to eat. Okay? When Trump came in, cutting all those benefits, it affects you Jakes, it affects you Edomites as well. It affects Americans as a whole. And then, of course, you got these tariff situations that's about to start kicking in, especially in August, going through. They said EU nations are going to be getting hit with tariffs. China is going to get hit with tariffs, right? So the major companies and countries that America is known to trade with are getting hit with tariffs. They're also going to hit back, okay? And if they hit back, car prices are going to go crazy. Car parts are going to go crazy. So if your car messes up, dealerships are closing down, right? Because people are not buying cars no more. You know what I'm saying? So you might have to drive a couple hours to get to the nearest dealership. And they're going to tell you, oh, the parts are on back order because the tariffs, it's hard to get parts now. So you might be out of a car for a minute and you need the car for work, and then you might just get a call from your job saying, yo, you've been fired. We laying people off because ain't no jobs. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing going on. You see, that is a sad case, man. A lot of people are about to get laid off, right? That's going to cause a lot of people to be homeless. And that's a fact. Okay. Life is hard as it is now. Imagine just a little bit more of a tightening of the noose. What's going to happen? A lot of people are going to give in, man. And they're not ready. You got kids. It's about to be a wrap. So naturally, people are going to go towards wherever the help is pushed to them, And for a little bit of reprieve, you're going to have to show some identity. You're going to have to come in and show us your digital ID. You need to prove who you are biometrically. And that's when the games begin. And you're going to see it for yourself as well. It says, going back to the article, it says, for some perspective, let's go back to the end of 2024. At that time, it was being reported that credit card loan defaults soared this year. And unfortunately, this crisis has continued to intensify in recent months. Delinquency rates have hit the highest levels in more than a decade. And this is especially true for younger borrowers, okay? Because America is built on consumerism, right? Everything is about buying, buying, buying. People don't know how to create things to sell. They only know how to buy. And they have such an impulse in buying. People will go shopping. Women literally say that, I just want to go shopping. That's the biggest, most annoying phrase I've ever heard in my life. I just want to go shopping. I'm like, you going shopping? What do you mean you going shopping? Do you need anything from the store? No, I just want to go see what they have and see maybe I might like them. What a waste of time and money. You don't need nothing from the store, but you want to go in there just to browse and see what you may like and then spend money on something that you might not even want, but you think you like it in the moment. That's Americans for you. Other countries, motherfuckers don't got time for that. They're busy, with real life. Consumerism is the culture of America and it sucks. And they're going to have to pay for it. Okay? They're going to have to pay for it. You can't pay for something that is not designed for you to pay back from. Like, you just can't. This whole banking system, the whole American economy, the way it was built and structured wasn't built, okay, for you to be, sustained and, oh, no, it's a trap. It's a trap. Okay? It's a trap. When you go into finances and the economy and how it works, the American banking system and all it, it's all a trap. Okay? That's why there's something known as loans and interest. Okay? That's a trap. You want to stay away from that as much as you can. Okay? But they make it in such a way that it's hard to do so because it's already built into the fabric of the system. Right? You want to have a good credit system or a good credit score, you got to have some form of credit or, something like that to prove that, we can loan things to you and shit like that. Like, come on, bro. And that reputation will lead into the so-called fourth industrial revolution, where in the social credit system, which is being built rapidly, all right, your credit score will matter. All right, your credit score will matter, meaning your behavior will be tied to your credit score, your social credit score. Okay, so right now you got your credit card and you're in delinquencies and you're in debt and you're not paying back and all this extra stuff. Your credit numbers are going lower and lower and lower. When they see that, to them, that's a red flag. Like, oh, this guy here doesn't comply. So it's going to go from your spending habits and your inability to pay back. When you loan something, it's going to go from that to your actual behavior, not just spending habits, but your behavior in the system. That's going to determine where you stand on the totem pole, so to speak. Okay, so it's a very sick world. When we talk about the beast system, you're seeing that thing being assembled right now. Okay, and in order for it to take effect, the people have to be rendered helpless and hopeless, looking for a reprieve, a way out. Okay, just like at the time of Genesis, when the famine hit and the only place that you can get food was Egypt, what happened? When Joseph set up that whole stage to save up a lot of crops before the famine happened, what happened is the whole land and the surrounding areas, there was no food. So they had to come to Egypt. I mean, they had to go down to Egypt for help. And when they went down to Egypt for help, what happened? They had to become enslaved to Egypt in order to get help. Okay? And that's exactly the plan that Esau has one more time to take all these people out. Okay? We're going to make it where you have to come down to Egypt for help. And when you do that, that's going to be your imprisonment. You're going to have to sell out in order to get something to eat. Okay? You're going to have to pledge something to them. And that pledge is going to be yourself, your identity, your ID, your radio frequency identification. Okay? It says, this is starting to become a big problem for our banks. In particular, small banks have been getting absolutely hammered by very high delinquency rates. Let's hope that we can get this turned around. Well, we ain't going to be turning nothing around. All right? This ship is sinking. You can't turn a sinking ship around. Remember that. When a ship is sinking, you cannot turn it around. Okay? It's already sinking. All right, let's get this real quick in the book of Jeremiah. Okay, because this is what a lot of Americans are hoping for. It's all, every time you talk to them, they tell you how bad things are getting, right? They tell you how bad things are getting. And then they say, I hope we could get it turned around, because that's the only way, things are getting really bad and we can't afford it to get worse. Well, the Lord says the beginning of sorrows. If you own anything, expect to not own it by this time next year if we're still here. All right. August of 2026, that's a long time. If you own anything, expect to not own it by then. Okay? Because, well, if the Lord is not with you, because I've seen a lot of people selling things. Houses on sale, cars on sale. You know what I'm saying? People selling a whole lot of stuff. Women are now selling themselves. Yeah, it's already gotten to that point. It's already gotten to that point. See? You got chicks talking about, she said her throat hurt, but at least her kid got, a bag for school. And another nigga commented, he said, oh, he got shoes though? If he ain't got shoes, your throat gonna hurt some more. You see? So it's gonna be a nasty barter system. Let me put it like that. I don't want to be a part of that kind of barter system. All right, but continue. Going back into a quick precept here. This book of Jeremiah, chapter 51, and verse 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and Babylon is America. Okay, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." Okay, so now is the time for America to pay. All right, she's being trapped now in her punishment. She's going to pay, all right, for everything she's done, because this is the Lord's vengeance. I remember the Lord says, "Wait ye upon me." Well, we waited, and now he about to pull up on them. Okay, it says, "Babylon hath been a golden cup," hath been, meaning it's in the past. Okay, hath been in a golden cup in the Lord's hands, and it says that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. Okay, they took on her philosophy. They believed in the American way of democracy and all this dumb shit, right? And now all these countries are retrieving. Everybody's pulling back. Everybody, I don't know about this, man. America, Trump, the way Trump is moving, that's what's going on right now. Okay, that's what's going on right now. All right, it says Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Right, she's fallen from where she used to be. All right, where she used to be the lady of kingdoms. All right, the powerhouse that made the world go round, because guess what? The world trades on the US dollar. Okay, the so-called petrodollar. All right, that's the lingua franca, okay, of the world. Okay, the world's reserve currency is America. It's the dollar. Okay, and once that starts going down, what happens? Everything goes down. Okay, everything goes down. So all these countries that are tied to America in some way, shape, or form, all right, they're gonna feel the effects of America when she's going down. Okay, heavy. All right, because like she's going down with you. You know what I'm saying? You have those ties to the ship. So when the ship is going down, you're going down with it. Okay, you're going down with it. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. Right? Give her some medicine. Trump is not going to be no medicine to help America. But you fools believe that Trump was going to be the guy to, help America. Right? These Americans, oh, let's go vote. Oh, we da-da-da. Yo, these people, November 4th came last year. Yo, these motherfuckers are going crazy. Oh, Trump this, Trump that. This America is going to be great again, da-da-da. We told you. We say, oh, this thing going to turn on you. Okay? He's going to turn on you. He's already put it out there. He gave you the poem of being a snake. He said it. So in other words, you people are going to be looked at as that silly woman when that snake bit you. And you turn around and say, yo, I've been nurturing you. I took you in. Why you bite me? You silly woman. Didn't you know that I was a snake before you took me in? Shit. So here you go. Right? Verse 9. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the skies. And that's going to be when the destruction comes. All right? That's going to be the destruction. When it comes, America is burning. The fire, the flames, the smoke, everything is going to be going up. And that's evidence of the Heavenly Father's judgment and his word coming to pass. Okay? You're going to see it. The whole world will be watching. Okay? It says, continue. So like going back to the article, it says, let's hope that we can get this turned around. And that's that we would have healed Babylon's spirit. All right, but the scripture says that she will not be healed. So it's over with. You ain't turning nothing around. All right. We've been past that stage. The ship is already sinking. All right. It says our seemingly endless cost of living, our living crisis is putting a tremendous amount of strain. Those anchors for the ship. But guess what? She's sinking and the anchor is breaking. All right. Strain. All right. It says on our economy, and even delinquency rates for high income households have been soaring. Delinquencies. Oh, okay. Hold on. There's a little bit more. It says upper income Americans are increasingly falling behind on credit card and auto loan payments. These are upper income. So your 100,000 plus a year income salary people, or 100,000+ salary income people, I should say, right? 200,000, 300,000. They're also suffering. Okay, they're also going through it. All right. It says it's signaling an underlying vulnerability in the U.S. economy as the labor market slows. Okay, the middle class. All right. Delinquencies on such debts from those making at least $150,000 annually, have jumped almost 20% over the last 2 years, faster than for middle and lower income borrowers, according to the credit card scoring firm Vantage Score. A recent Federal Reserve Bank of St. Louis study found the share of people making late card payments in the highest income zip codes has risen twice as much over the last year as in the lowest income ones. Are the facts that I just shared with you a sign that the economy is healthy, or that the economy is unhealthy? Needless to say, the answer is self-evident. That's right. Despite what the talking heads on CNBC are telling you, the truth is that most of the nation is really struggling right now. Okay? And again, the news media, it's all filled with propaganda and lies. Okay? You could see something with your very eyes and they'll tell you, oh no, that's not what it is. You're seeing something else. You know, our experts are saying one thing, but you've seen another. Man, fuck your experts. You know, what I'm seeing is what I'm going with. All right? The economy sucks. Everybody's struggling. Everybody going through some shit. Inflation is going crazy. Now they got some new shit called stressflation. You know what I'm saying? So the troubles are here. Okay, the troubles are definitely here, and it's only going to intensify. All right, the birth pains were definitely in that time. Right? It says, but no matter how much you are struggling, you should avoid going into credit card debt, because credit card debt is financial poison/death. Okay, unfortunately, today the average U.S. household is carrying more than $6,000 in credit card debt. The average U.S. household has $6,120 in credit card debt. Total U.S. household credit card debt is currently at $1.18 trillion. Not million, not billion, but trillion. Shit. Making up 6% of all household debt. Washington, D.C. carries the highest level of credit card debt per capita at $5,360 on average, while Mississippi carries the lowest at $2,940 on average. Americans aged 65 to 74 have more credit card debt than any other age range, coming in at an average of $7,720 in debt. Damn. 65 to 74? Damn, I didn't know that it was okay. It says, can you guess the average rate of interest on all of that credit card debt is? I just asked Google AI, and I was told that the average APR it says, I just asked Google AI, and I was told that the average APR for all credit card accounts in Q2 2025 was 21.16%. Wow. Damn. So if you're paying more than 20% interest on a credit card balance, you're getting absolutely killed financially. And buy now, pay later plans can be even worse. At this point, those plans have become so lucrative that even Costco is getting in on the game. Again, lucrative in the sense that these companies are taking the tactics of the banks. You know, I'm going to give you a loan and you pay back on interest. They're taking the way of the banks, you know, which is crazy, but people going to have to pay back some way, somehow. All right. It says, Costco is now offering a buy now, pay later option for online shoppers through a new multi-year partnership with Affirm. The installation or installment plans will allow customers to select the payment option at checkout for purchases ranging from $500 to $17,500. Customers will be checked for eligibility in real time, digital ID, and can choose a monthly payment plan that fits their budget. So we could possibly see the UBI come out very soon as a form or slash solution to all this. Okay, Trump just signed the Genius Act. He brought in the Genius Act, which is basically a whole new financial system. Okay, digital financial system. So the road to the MOTB is just it's picking up. It's picking up speed. Okay, the same guy who brought in Operation Warp Speed is bringing this whole system back into play. And he said it. He said, this whole AI frontier, whatever. It could be good, it could be bad. I said, nigga, what? And so it's just by chance. But we're gonna be number one, though. Nigga, what do you mean you're gonna be number one? You don't even know what's gonna happen with this. But we're gonna be number one. All right. Heap of ruins is coming. It's coming. It's fast approaching. It says, I know that it can be so tempting to reach for a short-term solution, but don't do it. You always regret it later. But I certainly understand why so many Americans are looking for an easy way out. And the chip is going to be the easiest way out. The easiest, because that's how they're going to present it. Okay? But you will regret it. All right? A research survey discovered that 83% of U.S. adults are experiencing stressflation. Stressflation, that's a new one. All right? A Lifestance Health survey released today reveals stressflation is affecting most Americans, with 83% reporting financial stress driven by inflation. 83%. It's a lot. It's a lot. Mass layoffs, the rising cost of living, and recession fears. Hey, we're already in a recession. Okay, we're already in a recession. When you have car dealerships closing down, that should tell you everything you need to know. When cars are being sat on the lot for over 300 days, 400 days, some of them 600 days, without nobody buying them, and dealerships are losing money because cars are just rotting and sitting there, all right, that's a problem. Okay, there's a problem. When cars are being repoed left and right, people can't afford their payments, their monthly payments. Some motherfuckers got over $1,000 payments on cars. Why? Every month? Why? It's just foolishness, man. It's dumb as hell. But that's America for you. They make their stupidest decisions and think it's cool. Motherfuckers really smoke. They smoke their cigarettes and shit, blowing their lungs out, and think it's cool. And see nothing wrong with it. Sick world, man. But anyway, it says, millennials and Gen Z report the most significant mental health impacts. Mental health. If you are stressed about your finances, you have lots of company. Economic conditions are very painful, and more Americans are falling out of the middle class with each passing day, right? Because remember, the plan was always to get rid of the middle class. You're going to have only two tiers of people. You have the elites, and then you have the peasants. Okay, the plebeians, which are the peasants, and the patricians, which are the so-called elites. Okay, when you have niggas dabbling in billions of dollars, and then you out here could barely afford $500 and so on and so forth, you know you're in big trouble. Okay, you know you are in big trouble, and clearly they don't care about you. All right, doesn't Trump have billions of dollars? Does not Elon Musk have billions of dollars? Does not Jeff Bezos have billions of dollars? Does not Mark Zuckerberg have billions of dollars? Does not Sam Altman have billions of dollars? Okay, does not Peter Thiel have billions of dollars? When you look at all these people, they all have Bill Gates, right? They all have billions of dollars, but what are they doing with it? They're furthering their overtake of the entire planet. With all these technological advancements, it's only going to aid in them taking over and you owning nothing and being happy, as they said, through the World Economic Forum. Okay? You might take it as a joke, but they ain't joking. All right? They ain't joking. And the one who's going to be laughing last is going to be the Heavenly Father. Okay? To continue, it says here, it says, this is getting good. It says, unfortunately, even more trouble is potentially on the horizon. The U.S. and China still have not been able to reach a permanent trade agreement, and if that does not happen by the deadline, both nations are set to once again place historic tariffs on each other's imports starting August 12th. Okay? We have about 2 weeks, hopefully negotiators will be able to work something out. But even if an agreement is reached, so many other long-term trends are taking us in the wrong direction very rapidly. Now is the time to get lean and mean financially, because I have a feeling that the economic news is going to get very, very interesting during the second half of this year. Okay? So you have people who are paying attention to what's going on and are reporting on it, and they're not reporting good news. But most people watch the American news, especially people who are deeply affected by these things, because they watch the news and they play along and say, oh, everything is fine. It seems like the economy is doing the greatest it's ever been. And Trump has made things so much better. And I'm so thankful for God for bringing Trump into our lives. Yep. And that's why you people are about to suffer some more. Okay? People are about to suffer some more. Let's get this real quick in the book of Isaiah, chapter 19. Okay? There's the book of Isaiah, chapter 19, and verse 1. It says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord Yahweh rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. Right? So we're seeing the visitation of the Heavenly Father right now. Okay, well, all these things that's happening around the world, I mean, it's countless. We can go in all day, just going over all these things that's happening to America, all at the same time. That's not even being reported on the news. Okay, America is in a crisis, a poly crisis, and once the dust settles, shit. Remember, America is the Titanic that's already been struck by that iceberg, and the people who are in the know, they're like, yo, there's water coming in. What do we do? So they're panicking. But they don't want the people to panic just yet. But by the time people realize it, it's going to be too late. Remember, I told you, the ship is already sinking. Okay? Verse 2, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, because now it's a time for them to fight. The ship is sinking. Oh my God, what's going on? People panic. And when they panic, they take to the streets. Right? It says what in 2nd Ezra, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Right? The course of their actions shall stand in their power. So people are going to be making desperate decisions because of desperate times. Okay? So the Lord says, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. So you're going to have political riots, you're going to have race riots, you're going to have gender riots, okay, gender wars, you're going to have economic riots. That's going to be a big one. Okay? Because what? Because of lack of bread and for great tribulation, people are going to bug the hell out, man. You know what I'm saying? People are going to take things into their own hands, matters into their own hands. Okay? If your kid can't eat, then my kid can't eat. If I'm stronger than you, I'm taking over your shit. See what I'm saying? If you got some food in your house and you're not protecting it, shit, I'm coming in there. You and the food gonna be food. See, that's the mindset of these Americans. You know? And that's prophesied to happen. Okay? It says, the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and that's what you're seeing now. Okay? The Egyptians are losing their minds. They're losing their grit. You know what I'm saying? Their plans are being confused. Okay? And I'll destroy the counsel thereof, and they shall seek to the idols, and to charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and to the wizards. And that's where Esau is pushing everyone into, this whole AI thing. AI is God. AI could be a preacher in the church. AI is going to be your banker. AI is going to be your lawyer and your judge. Fuck out of here, man. Okay? It says, and the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. Okay? So Trump is that cruel master, man. That cruel Lord. Okay? That draconian demon that he's going to be. Okay? He already is. He's just going to show it. The Lord's going to give him that chance to show it. You know, a lot of people say, oh, he's the Antichrist. There are many Antichrists. But I don't see, you know, I could see him being that face. Okay? That face that's going to bring that terror. Okay? Like never before upon the face of American soil. Okay? He turned his back on you American people because he told you, I was a snake before you took me in. You should have never taken that nigga in. But who else are you going to take in? Yeah, that voting shit is all a scam. And people are finally realizing it. All right? They're finally realizing it. All right, it's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 12. It says, Egypt shall mourn. So synonymous with Isaiah 19, right? Egypt shall mourn because of the burden, right? And the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. They shall till the ground and shall, it says, they shall till the ground, slacken. They that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail through the blasting and hail, and with a fearful constellation. And again, that's a sign of economic turmoil. Okay, that's a sign of economic turmoil. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. That's going into the Egyptian against the Egyptian. It's verse 16. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. People taking matters into their own hands, not listening to what the government has to say, disregarding and disobeying law in and of itself, causing chaos. Okay, it says, for there shall be, it says, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able, right? Because you're gonna have all these different laws that's going to take place, curfews that's going to be happening, all right? Proof of ID that you're going to have to show in order to go from one end to the other, okay? And even the violence that's going on around the place, people are not going to be happy or okay when just going out. You know what I'm saying? Gas prices are going to go up again. So traveling from one end to another is going to be a headache. Damn, I got to travel an hour to get shit, you know? Mad stuff is going to be a hindrance to your movement, okay? This is for because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. That's what you're seeing with these credit card debts, okay? It's going to cause a lack of bread because you don't have, we call it bread now because of money, right? You don't have money to spend on things that you need. So some people going to resort to means of violence to get what they need. Number one, you cannot afford it. Or number two, it's there. You just can't access it for whatever reason. You don't have the ID. You don't have the proper credentials. You can't be allowed to go into a store, whatever the case may be, man. Okay. But remember, majority of Americans are going to bow the knee. Okay. Majority of Americans will bow the knee because they've been conditioned to bow the knee. Okay. America, the government is all they've known. It's nourished them, it's nurtured them, it's brought them up, it's taught them everything they know. So when the time comes, they're going to go back to that same government. Okay. Their parents, so to speak. All right. But yeah, this has been Default Nation, the alarming collapse of the U.S. household finances. And that's opening up the door for the MOTB to be ushered in. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave it off there. Lord willing, you were edified and informed. In closing, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakha Kodash, the water Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. And until next time, Shalom.